channel. Y'all, I'm so excited because today we're making our first tutorial. Y'all, I'm so excited because I'm gonna be teaching you guys how to make this dress. Y'all, I absolutely love this dress. I've worn it twice already, and in my tutorial that I'm making today, I am gonna make it using black yarn because I already have a red one. So I think making a black one is gonna be so cute. So y'all, this dress actually isn't finished because I have a ton of ends to weave in at the bottom, but that is okay. Don't judge. So let's get into what you guys are gonna need for this tutorial.
Here is everything that you will need in order to create this dress. I'm going to go into more detail about everything that you guys see here and where you guys can purchase them. I will be using Mainstays 100% acrylic yarn in the color black. It's 798 yards and it recommends using a 5.5mm hook. It is a medium weight for worsted yarn. To create the cross for my dress, I will be using the Mainstays 100% acrylic yarn in red. And I've already spun this yarn into cakes using my yarn winder from K-Do, which is linked in my TikTok showcase. Although it's recommended to use a size 5.5mm crochet hook, I will be using a size 3.5 simply because I prefer tighter stitches when I am crocheting clothes. You'll also need a pair of scissors. I got these from Hobby Lobby. I also got my crochet hook from Hobby Lobby. We'll also need a tapestry needle for us to weave in our ends. Again, I got this at Hobby Lobby as well, and they come in like a pack of 2. I prefer the metal ones because they don't break as quickly as the plastic ones. You will also need a tape measure. You're gonna wanna get your bust. You wanna know also how long you want to make the dress, and you want to measure where you would like your split or slit, where you would like it to start. Also, when I crochet, I really love to have stitch markers, and I am absolutely in love with this pack of stitch markers that are also linked in my TikTok shop. It comes in a pack of 100. They're pink and they're hearts. They're just so cute. I use this to just keep up with the amount of rows that I'm doing. I use them to help me remember where the first stitch of my row is, because then it's easier to connect my rows in a straight seam. And I also find it much easier to count how many rows I've done, and also where I'm going to mark off where I would like my slit to start. I would love to say thank you to the girls for putting me on to the elastic band. You are gonna need one for the top of your dress. It's not 100% required, but it will help your dress not slide down, and it will help it stay into place. So I highly recommend you get an elastic band. I did grab this one from Walmart, and it's still the same band that I had from my first dress, and it's more than enough for the second. So we are gonna dive right into the tutorial by making a slip knot and inserting our hook into that slip knot, and we are going to chain enough to fit around the bust area. So for a size small, extra small, I am stretching out the yarn, and it gives me about a 31.5-inch bust.
Next, you want to make sure that the chain is straight. So just kind of work your fingers down it, making sure it's all facing the same side. And then you want to put the ends together. Keeping your hook in the last stitch, and then inserting it into that first stitch that you made. And then you want to make a slip knot. So you're gonna wrap the yarn over and then pull through both loops. And then you're going to chain 2. And in this same stitch where we placed our slip stitch, we're gonna yarn over, insert our hook,
yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2 again. And we're going to do this all the way down until we get back to the front of the row. Okay guys, now that we've gotten to the end of the row, it may look like you put a stitch here, but you do not. So you have your 1, 2 chains, and then you should have something that kind of looks like a stitch, but you're not going to put a stitch there. And we're going to slip stitch in the first loop that we made. For my beginners at the beginning of the row, I would definitely recommend putting a stitch marker at the beginning of your row, so that you can always know where you started until you get familiar with what the beginning of the row looks like. So you have your first chain, well, technically this is your first chain, your second chain, this that looks like a stitch but it's not. Let me get my hook back in there. And then you are going to slip stitch into the first stitch that you made. So you're gonna insert your hook, and then you're gonna pull through the yarn, and then you're gonna pull through one more time. And now instead of chaining 2 how you normally would, we're gonna chain 1. Normally you would go into this same stitch right here, but we're going to yarn over, skip this first stitch right here, and go into the second stitch with a double crochet. And then we're going to place another double crochet in the next stitch. And you're going to double crochet all the way around again. And then when we get back, I'm going to show you guys how to finish this row and keep a straight seam, because you're going to put your last stitch in that stitch that we skipped. So I'll see you back after we went all the way around, putting 1 double crochet into every stitch. So once you've made your normal last stitch, you're going to yarn over, and then right there in that stitch that we skipped, we're going to put our last double crochet. Then we're going to slip stitch as normal into that first stitch. Wow. And notice already it's keeping our seam straight. Then you're going to chain 2 how you normally would, and you're going to insert your hook into the first loop. And then you're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 for your first double crochet. Then you're going to put a double crochet in the next stitch, and you're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch around. And then when you get to the end, again, you're going to slip stitch to this first stitch, chain 1, skip that first stitch, go all the way around, and then put your last stitch into the stitch that you skipped. And you're gonna keep alternating that all throughout the pattern. But right now, we're going to make 5 total rows of double crochets before we begin to decrease for our waist measurement. I do my rule of 5, so I'm gonna do 5 rows total and then decrease. So right now we have just started our 3rd row, so we are going to continue alternating between chaining 2 and chaining 1 until we get to row 5, and then I'll show you guys how we are going to do our decreases. Here is what our project is looking like after 5 rows, and you can try it on if you want to see how it's fitting. I just tried mine on and it's fitting very nicely. So next we are going to chain 1 because we are still on a chain 1 row. We're gonna skip a stitch. And then we're going to crochet 9 more. So we're gonna do 10 stitches and then we're gonna decrease. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now again, I'm just using my little rule of 5 because it's just easier for me when I do projects. If you wanted to, you could actually count how many stitches around you have and do like a mathematical thing for the exact number of stitches in between your decreases. Again, I just use my rule of 5, so I typically just work in a 5 count. So I do 10 stitches and then we are going to decrease. So decreasing is just yarning over, insert your hook, pull through, and then go straight into the next one, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I've seen people decrease in different ways. Sometimes I may do it slightly different, but when I'm thinking about it, that's typically how I decrease. We're really not trying to have like a whole bunch of decreases in the project. I would say maybe about like 4 to 5. Right now that was 2. So this is what our work is looking like after we have done our first row of decreases. So I did a total of 6 decreases. And again, I only think you need a couple just to get started because you don't want it to decrease too quickly. So next I'm going to do 5 rows of regular double crochets, and then we're going to come back and do another row of decreases. After we do this second row of decreases, try it on, make sure it's fitting how you want it to, because you can always go in and make your own adjustments. If you do like the way that it is fitting, after this row of decreases, you can either do 1 more row of decreases, or I would go ahead and do 10 rows of regular double crochets, and that is going to get us down towards where our thighs are, and then we will be we'll see if we're going to do a few more increases to account for our thighs, or if we would like to just go ahead and start with the slit on the side. Here's me trying it on so far. It fits very nice, very snug. It's right where I want it to be. I notice you guys can probably still see like it's a little see-through, but I'm typically wearing a slip underneath my dress, so I'm not really worried about that. Now to create the slit for the dress, I am going to finish the very last row, cut my yarn, and I'm going to pull the loop through. And here is what it should look like after you have made the final 10 rows of regular double crochets. I'm then going to decide which side I want to be the front of the dress and the back of the dress. Then I'm going to find the very middle on the side of the dress, and I'm going to insert one of my stitch markers. Now to reattach my yarn, I am going to skip 1 stitch from the stitch marker and reattach in the second stitch away from the stitch marker, and I do this by inserting my hook, pulling up a loop, and then I'm going to yarn over and make a chain. To start this row, I am going to chain a total of 3, and then I'm going to place my first double crochet into the next stitch, and I'm going to place 1 double crochet in every stitch around until I get back to my stitch marker. Now that chain 3 is going to count as a stitch. Now when I get back to my stitch marker, I am going to place a double crochet in the stitch before it, and I'm going to place a double crochet in the stitch with the stitch marker, but I am not going to place a stitch into that very last stitch that comes after the stitch marker. I'm going to now chain 3, and I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to begin the next row, which is going to also start developing the shape for our slit. And I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, and then I'm going to place 1 double crochet in every stitch around until I get back to the first stitch that I made of the last row. Once I get back to the first stitch that I made of the last row, I'm going to place my last double crochet of this row at the top of the chains, and then I'm going to chain 3 and turn my work, and we are going to continue working back and forth, skipping that little gap so it makes our slit all the way to the bottom of our dress. We'll add some ruffles a bit later, and we're also going to be continuing this pattern while we create the cross. Next part of the dress will be creating the cross, and in order to make the cross, it will also depend on how far down you want your dress to come. I wanted mine to basically hover right above the floor. I'm only 4'11", so it doesn't take too many rows for me to make that happen. I made about 13 to 15 rows before starting my cross, and the image that I used for my cross was something that I got off of Google. You just want to find a grid pattern that you like, and I found one that I liked, and I thought it was pretty easy to replicate. Feel free to take a screenshot and save this one if you'd like. I just thought it was the easiest, and it comes out the perfect size for me. So in order to start this cross, you do work from the top to the bottom, since we're working from the top of the dress down to the bottom of the dress. And you can change the color up if you like, but I just did all red. I did the cross the entire color, and I'm also just like cropping out like the outside so I can focus on the picture itself. I also use the markup tool in photos so that I'm able to cross out the rows as I go. And notice that any row that has like the color of the cross, you're gonna put in the color that you want your cross, and everything for this particular picture that's in yellow is gonna be in black. I definitely recommend being very careful and knowing where you want to place your cross on your dress, especially because the colors that are in the picture that are also your background color, you want to account for those as well. So I'm putting my stitch marker in the first few black squares that are not a part of the picture, and then I am going to continue crocheting the black, aka yellow squares, to account for the ones in the picture so that my cross is still even on all sides. Now, once I have crocheted all of the yellow squares that y'all just see I'm using black yarn instead of yellow. Once I've done that, I'm going to add in the red yarn, which is going to start my cross right in the middle, and I'm just going to attach the yarn and cut it, and then I'm going to weave in the ends later. I don't really like trying to carry the yarn and things like that for this project. I just like to add them so I can keep going with the project because yeah, that's just what I prefer to do. Now remember to make the same amount of black, aka yellow squares in the picture that you also need on your dress as well. And when you do, I recommend using a stitch marker to mark them off so you know where the picture image is and where the rest of the dress is. And so after you have made your rows for the picture, you're just going to keep going around the dress how we were doing earlier with our slit, and you are going to go around and then come back, and whenever you get to your picture, you're going to reattach your red yarn where the picture indicates that the cross is going to be. I'm explaining it kind of complicated, but it's super easy, guys. Like, you're just gonna follow along with the picture as you go back and forth on the dress. This is just me right now attaching my stitch marker, accounting for the stitches and counting to make sure that I have enough black stitches that match with the picture. Okay guys, this is what your cross should look like once you are finished. It is so beautiful. So again, y'all, that is simply going back and forth with the rows of the dress and matching it to the squares on the image that we got from Google. I have already started my ruffles, although before you do, what you want to do is go to the end of your row and you want to attach your yarn, and you're going to make a single crochet border all the way around, so that way you have a good foundation to put your ruffles on, because as you can see, these are not stitches right here on the side. And so what you're going to do is you're going to insert your yarn and make a foundation row of single crochet stitches, and it'll be a lot easier to place your ruffles. So there's not really a right or wrong way to do this, because they're not really stitches that you're going into. You're really just kind of making your own stitches along the sides and placing a single crochet where you feel is right. Next, we are going to make our ruffles. So we are going to attach our red yarn to the end of the row at the bottom of our dress. We're going to pull up a loop, and then we are going to chain a total of 3. We're going to drop that second tail. I simply do that to secure my yarn when I attach it. But then after we chain 3, we're going to make our first double crochet in that same stitch. The chain 3 does count as a stitch. And then we're going to place one more double crochet in that same stitch, making our first ruffle. And so we're going to do this in every stitch around. We're going to crochet 3 double crochets in every stitch around the slit of our dress and the top of our dress. It's very easy, guys. It does take a little time and it does take a good bit of yarn, but I promise the results are so worth it. Next, we are going to add our elastic band at the top. So you want to measure it out. You don't want to cut off too much elastic band, because then you'll make it too tight. And honestly, I was freestyling when it came to this elastic band, because I've only worked with it twice. But what I did was I placed it inside the top of my dress and I folded it down to see how much it would cover, how much it took me to cover it from the top. And then I used my stitch markers to hold it in place. Once I got the elastic band in place, I sewed the 2 ends together, and I did just chop off the excess at the top, but not too much, because I didn't want to ruin the sewing part that I did down below. I did this so that the band would stay together once I folded it in and sealed up the inside. Finally, the last few things I did was sew the elastic band in place, and I also did weave in my ends off camera. But once you finish, this is what your dress should look like.
High volume.
Am I really that